Okay, so today, guys, what we're going to look at is multiplication involving indices. Okay, alright, so what I'll do is I'm going to show you, sorry guys, trying to get this camera right, if we write this way. Okay, so multiplication involving indices. So you've already dealt with indices before. Okay, so remember we had our bases and our powers. So I'm just going to show you some examples. Okay, so before, what we would have done, okay, back in indices chapter, if we saw like something like 5 multiplied by 5, we would have said that that is 5 to the power of 2. Or if we saw something like a multiplied by a, okay, this is my base, a and a are my base, so we used to keep the base and add the powers when we were multiplying. That was one of our rules. Okay, so this is power 1, this is power of 1, so this was giving me power 2. Or if it was something like a multiplied by a multiplied by a, okay, so I still have my imaginary powers 1, 1, 1. Okay, so I always keep my base. Okay, so my base is a, and I add my powers. So my power is 1, 2, 3, so the power 3. Okay. Right, if I was to get something like this, a squared multiplied by a squared, I do the exact same thing. Okay, so this is just a revision from our other chapter. So this is my base, a and a, so I keep my base and I add my power. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, an example, I could have a squared multiplied by a cubed. Okay, so that would, I do the exact same. We can multiply them, they have the same base, so I keep my base and I add my powers. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. Okay, right, in algebra, girls, we are also going to have to deal with multiplying and keeping our bases. Okay, so here's an example. I have 2x bracket x plus 4, okay, plus 5x bracket 2x minus 1. Okay, so I've seen some of our homework, it was really good. Most people are able to get out the multiplication at this stage. Okay, so remove the brackets and simplify. Okay, so girls, we've done loads of examples and we now should know at this stage that brackets mean to multiply. Okay, right, so what I do the exact same steps. I get my arrows, 2x times this, 2x times this, 5x times this, and 5x times minus 1. Okay, my next step, what I need to do is I need to multiply. Okay, so 2x times x. Okay, right, girls, we are multiplying. Okay, so I do, my in front of this number should have an imaginary 1. Okay, so I go 2 times 1 gives me 2. Right, here I need to multiply my x by my x. Okay, so my variable has now been multiplied by something. We've only done examples where we just keep the variable. Okay, right, so this here, there's imaginary little 1 here and imaginary little 1 here. Okay, so I keep my base, which is x, and I add my powers. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. Right, 2x times 4 then gives me plus 8x. Then I have 5x times 2x. Okay, so this is another example, and my x are going to be multiplied by one another. Okay, so plus then. Okay, so 5 times 2 gives me 10. X by x, I keep my base, and I have 1, 1, and I add my power, so I get x squared. Right, plus by minus, girls, you want to put that into your calculator. Plus by minus will give me a minus 5. Okay, and I just keep my x. Okay, because there's no x here to be multiplied with it. Okay, the last thing they said here, girls, in this example was to simplify it. Okay, so we know to simplify it. Okay, it makes it, put it in its easiest form. Okay, so then what I have to do is I have to underline things that go together. So 2x squared goes together and 10x squared goes together. We can only add like terms, okay? So we could not add x squared with my x because they are not the exact same. They need to be the exact same before we can add them. And I circle my plus 8x and I circle my minus 5x, okay? And then when I add, okay, so I bring down this, okay, so 2x squared and this goes together plus 10x squared plus 8x minus 5x, okay? 2x squared plus 10x squared is equal to 12x squared. 8x minus 5x gives me 3x, so plus 3x. And that is my answer, fully simplified. Okay.